Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to wait for a few more people to tune in. Today, I'm trying to do something different. I'm trying to stream on multiple platforms. So you might see me looking down or looking up. I'm streaming on YouTube, I'm streaming on Facebook, and I'm streaming on Instagram. So if I'm looking up or down, I'm not doing anything awkward. I'm just trying to, engage the different platforms that I'm streaming on. I'm so excited today, guys. I'm so excited that you're all tuned in. Today is a great day for America. Today's a great day in the world of immigration. Hi, Nadine. Thank you for tuning in. Nice to have you here. Guys, as always, leave your comments. For me, if you have any questions related to immigration and what I'm about to go over, leave your questions in there. I'll be happy to answer them. Today, I just want to talk about the new immigration legislation that we're expecting to be introduced today and some of the immediate changes or executive actions that are going to happen. For me, as I'm sure you guys can see, I'm rocking my pearls today because for me, it represents what a great thing is happening today for Kamala Harris to be our first Black president and vice president, our first immigrant. For me, as the daughter of an immigrant and an immigrant myself and my children, a second generation immigrants, this is amazing, to see that. And for me as a woman, this is also amazing. It's just really a great day to be alive. It's a great day to have children, for your children to be able to see people in the highest or second highest office of the land and be able to say, I can be that one day. So it's really, really exciting. It's really exciting. I'm not going to be here on long today because, I want to also partake in the inauguration. So let's talk, guys, about what Biden is proposing. So one of the things that are at the forefront of what Biden is about to do is immigration, a total immigration reform overhaul. For those of you who have been in the immigration process, that it's been a painful 4 years. It's been marked with uncertainty, confusion. Today there's a bill, tomorrow it's taken off the table, tomorrow there's a lawsuit against it. The public charge rule, the ban on Muslim countries. There's just been so much. So we're hoping that we're going to have a little bit of semblance of stability, and that if there's a rule, the rule is there and we know exactly what it is. So just as much as it's been stressful for you, those of you that are in the immigration system or going through that, it's been very stressful to us as attorneys as well, because with each new rule, even the rules that was just announced yesterday, we have to, make sure that we're up to date on it. We have to make sure that we're advocates for our clients. We have to make sure that whatever we're doing for our clients, that we're on top of everything so that we can make sure that our clients get those green cards or those citizenships that they deserve. So I'm going to be reading from my list of things that I highlighted. So the first and foremost thing is that an executive action is purported to be happening once Trump is inaugurated to remove the bans on Muslim countries or countries that have a majority Muslim. I.e. Nigeria. I don't remember all the rest of the countries on top of my head, but those bans that were placed in February of last year, those are going to be removed. So you can finally be reunited with your loved ones. You can finally get to file for your spouses, your children, in Nigeria and all the other countries on the list. Obviously I'm talking about Nigeria because, I am Nigerian. It's also impacted me personally. But that list, that's gone. And then now some of the things that he's going to be introducing, and hopefully legislation will pass it, is a path to citizenship for people who have been in this country. So it's going to be an 8-year path. So again, let me put a caveat and say this. We don't know what the rules are. This is just what the news is reporting. So I'm giving you what the news is reporting. So until we actually see it on paper, as I'm sure you guys know, most of the time, I wait until the news is actually announced and the rules have been in place to give you. So what I'm giving you is just what the speculation is, but let's hope and cross our fingers that the speculation is actually what happens. Again, guys, don't forget, put your questions in the comment box because I am going to definitely try and get to all your questions. So the path to citizenship is going to be this. It's going to be an 8-year pathway, right? For people who have been, so it's going to basically, for people who have been in the country, undocumented, or without papers as of January 1st, 2021. And the reason why they've chosen January 1st, 2021 is because they want to make sure that people are not rushing to the border to now try and come over the border to be able to be included in this. So you have to have been in the country up until from January 1st of 2021. And so what it is that you're going to get a temporary status for 5 years. Okay. And then with 5 years, you'll be eligible to get a green card once you meet certain criteria, so doing background checks, you're paying taxes, you're not committing crimes of moral turpitude, felonies, aggravated felonies, or all of that crazy stuff. So, if this rule passes, this is going to be a game changer, in the world of immigration for so many people that have been here without anything and have been, great citizens of this country without papers, doing the work, building the economy, doing great work in this country. It's going to be a game changer. And then you will become eligible to apply for citizenship 3 years after that time. So that's what makes the full 8-year path. Again, there is no certainty that this is going to happen. These are just bills that are being introduced, and God willing, it happens, or some form of this happens, because this is going to be amazing. Then the next thing I want to talk about is DACA, which is deferred action for child protection arrivals, or childhood arrivals. So as you guys know, last year there's been DACA is on, DACA is off, DACA is on. As of today, DACA is on. And what has been a point of contention is how do we allow these people who came into this country, through no acts of their own, through innocence as children, came here because of, whatever reason that their parents brought them here. How do they get to stay in this country and gain their paperwork or gain their green card? So there's talks that, they would be make it immediately available for them to apply for a green card. Another major thing. So, if this happens, it's going to be mind-blowing. It's going to change a lot of people's lives. So we'll see what happens with that. Then the next thing is that they're also going to start granting spouses and children of temporary work visa holders, temporary status to be able to stay here with their family while they're working. Okay. They're not going to expand the number of like H-2B visas or H-1B visas that are available right now, but at least they're going to allow their spouse and children to stay here. Keep in mind that if you're a doctoral graduate in any STEM related field, that you're exempt from the visa limits, so you probably have a chance of getting an H-1B. So note to self: if your parents or your children in school have an F1 visa or studying, tell them to go the STEM route. If you go the STEM route, there are very high chances that you'll be able to get an H-1B and eventually become a green card holder, versus if you go major in something that's not related to STEM, where you have only one opportunity, to try and do OPT and to try and get into H-1B and, basically the life cycle. And then, there are also some talks about TPS, temporary protected status. So we're not really sure, it's more of an evaluation of how they're going to do TPS. We don't really have any specifics yet. Some countries include El Salvador, Haiti, Nicaragua, that they're thinking about what they're going to do for them. But we don't know yet what they're going to do. So that's another thing to be hopeful of. But the major move that's happening today is a repeal on the ban of citizens from majority Muslim countries. So for all those countries that had that ban in February, that was incredibly racist and discriminatory, the ban is going to be off. Fingers crossed. Okay, guys, I'm going to take questions. I'm going to go through my timeline just to see the questions both on Instagram and Facebook. I apologize if I don't get to your question. Let's see. So yeah, it seems like everybody on Facebook today is super excited. Renee says, I'm so inspired to see ladies like myself walk those stairs. Love it. Exactly. For me, it's really inspiring. This Kamala Harris is a daughter of a Jamaican immigrant and an Indian immigrant. None of us, I'm Nigerian. None of us have ever imagined that, you can be a citizen of the United States and you can have an equal opportunity to one day hold the highest office in the land. and possibly the second highest or the highest office. So it's really exciting. It's really exciting. And it's what is mind-boggling to me is the fact that America has been around for so long, and it's, so progressive, but yet we've never had a female in that position, till today. So it's really inspiring. Unique says she's super excited. We're all excited. Yes, yes, yes. Favorite Carrie says it's going down. Yes, today it's going down in history. Guys, I'm gonna go through my Instagram to see if I have any questions here. So Saniso says, what do you think about the immigration amnesty bill? Would I need to retain you to file for that if it's approved? Of course you should retain me, because I will do the job for you by reading the laws and making sure that you're applying right and you get it right. So we will see what, they say. And, if it is, for sure, you should retain me. So somebody's asking a question about VAWA. What makes it approval? How to get a better chance of getting an approval? So, Diabloke, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. But if what makes a VAWA case approvable has various factors. The biggest and the most important thing, like I tell clients, is your testimony. So you telling and convincing the officers that you've been through something that's been extremely cruel. Whether it be physical abuse, whether it be emotional abuse, psychological, verbal abuse, your testimony is really, really critical, because a lot of times the decision based on your VAWA petition is going to be made sight unseen. And what do I mean by sight unseen? It's going to be made without an interview before you move on to the interview for the green card. So VAWA has a two-step approval process, which is, first approve you for the VAWA petition, and, you get deferred action. What that means is you can't be deported and you can work, and then you move on to the green card portion. So a great testimony and, trying to keep gather evidence. So, a lot of times, abusers are afraid, to call the cops or to report to the cops because one, their spouse or their parent abuser or child abuser threatens them. They threaten them and tell them that, if they do that, that they're going to tell them that they're illegal here and that they're going to get deported. So, if there are other ways that you can keep documentation, some great documentation is if the person is very negative towards you and says all sorts of hurtful things on like WhatsApp, Facebook chat, messenger, text, talks about you on social media, save that stuff. Save that stuff. If, the person harms you or hurts you, take pictures of it. Confide in somebody, have somebody you can confide in so that the person can write an affidavit based on what, you've confided in. And then of course, if you're saying that, you've experienced some kind of emotional or psychological abuse, it's always good to try and get therapy. Get a psych evaluation, let the psychologist be able to assess you and say, this person went through a lot, this is causing them anxiety, this is causing them depression. So hopefully that answers your question. Let me go back to Facebook. So Tamara asked, will people be able to travel in the 5-year period? So that remains to be seen. So we don't know until they introduce this into legislation and until they pass. So a lot of times the way laws work here is that they might introduce something and then a negotiation happens, based on, well, no, let's keep this, let's not keep this. So ultimately the answer to that question will be known once that bill is passed and signed, and then we'll have a release, and then I'll bring it to you live as always, what the actual news is and what you're eligible for. Let's see what else. Some people are cracking me up here. So somebody says here, Carrie says here, I heard he was the one that fought for VAWA. I hope he remembers to push because a lot of people are going through it. Yes, Joe Biden was one of the people that fought for VAWA, which is a great option for people with no option that are going through abuse, that are going through extreme cruelty in their marriage, going through extreme cruelty with their parents, and Biden was one of the people that were at the forefront of it. So I feel really good about that law staying in and, pushing for certain things that came in this administration related to VAWA, where he removes those negative things and, more people are able to take advantage of this relief that they have. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, let's see. Get my says there's no case. This person says, get my online access code. When I log on the system, it says there's no case. Not really sure what your question is referring to, but if you're referring to USCIS account, you actually have to enter in your receipt number, and you can then select for it to track. You can then try and track, you know, the progress of your case via text or email. Ariana says, women power. Yes, women power. We are probably one of the greatest species ever created. You know, obviously I'm biased, I'm a woman. Let's see what else. Sheba asked, what's the news about immigration? I just talked about it. And so it seems like most people are asking what the requirements of the program will be. Again, we don't know until it passes. I'm just going to go through my Instagram now to see if I have any other question. People Bar says, thank you for always keeping everyone informed. Yes, you know, it's my privilege and my joy to do that. You know, I know that a lot of times there's so much going on. And as I said, in the last 4 years, you know, immigration rules have changed so much where, you know, me, myself, I've had sleepless nights trying to, you know, think, oh my gosh, is this the rule today? You know, can I submit this petition? You know, one of the things that I personally am praying for is that they remove the public charge rule, which is incredibly discriminatory, incredibly racist towards immigrants, and makes it such a burden for them to be able to get their green cards unless you fit into a certain affluent, you know, or fortunate, financially fortunate lifestyle. So I truly pray that that is something that is taken off the table, because it makes it incredibly difficult for so many people to become green card holders. Let's see. Someone says, what is I-944? What I just talked about, which is a public charge rule. It is truly horrible. The I-944 is basically a self-sufficiency test where they require you, the immigrant who is you know, petitioning as a beneficiary. So you're the beneficiary, like somebody's petitioning for you. So in the past, what was required was basically your sponsor showing that they can support you financially, right? But with the Trump administration, they created something called the public charge rule, which is the I-944, which is a 7-factor test to show that you're self-sufficient to be in the United States, and therefore they can approve your green card. So, you know, I'm going to give you the 7 factors, but it's very possible this might leave. But as of today, this is what the law is. So if you're filing your petition today, this is what the law is. We don't know, because I've not seen it so far, you know, in any of the changes. So I've not seen it so far being something that's going to be removed right away, but I truly hope it's going to be removed. So the factors they're going to be looking at are your age, right? You know, so, and when I name those factors, if you don't have one factor, it doesn't automatically mean that you're going to be disqualified. What it basically means is that they're going to look at it based in totality. So they're going to say, do you have enough where I feel like this is the person, the officer reviewing it, that you're not going to rely on the government for money? Or are there too many negatives where you will rely to make a decision? So one of the factors is your age. They want you ideally to be between the ages of 18 and 61. Discriminatory. I mean, how can you exclude other people based on their age? So that's one of the rules. The second thing is that they want you to have an ability to speak English. Many countries, English is not their first language. English is not their first language. So for those people, they're already at a disadvantage, right? You know, what's the other thing? They want you to have, you know, a high school diploma or some kind of certification, you know, or skill, right? Some people don't have high school diplomas due to no fault of their own, or GED diplomas due to no fault of their own. Obviously, if you have a college degree, it's even better for you. Then they want you to have a credit score and a credit report. If you have a negative credit score, they want you to explain that. Again, that is one of the areas where I think it's really silly, because if you're an immigrant and you don't have a social security card or a social security number, you probably don't have, you know, a credit report or credit score. But then we have to waste resources and time going through this credit score companies to try and run a credit report and send an error message basically saying this person doesn't have a social security card or social security number, so they don't have, you know, anything. But that's something that they want. Another thing that they want is that they want to look at your assets and your liability. So if you're submitting saying, you know, I have assets, then they want to see like 12 months worth of your assets. So like your 12 months of your bank statements, you know, your checking account, you know. And when you think of assets, just think about things that you can convert to cash within a year. So, if you can't convert it to cash within a year, it's not necessarily considered an asset. If you have sometimes people ask me, well, I have a house, is it an asset? So the answer to that is it depends. So it depends on how much you owe versus what, a properly appraised value of your house is. So if you have a $400,000 house, that it's appraised at $400,000 and you only have $200 in payments. So then you can then maybe have the $200,000 as, assets. And then of course, liability will be things like, they want to know like any kind of loans you have, credit cards, mortgage loans, card notes, all of those things. And then they want you to have health insurance. And then they also look at your medical condition. So especially if you have a medical condition that requires maintenance drugs or, puts you at risk of, certain conditions, they want to know that you have private health insurance. Again, a lot of immigrants, they can't even work over the table. How are they going to have, private insurance? So they want you to, if you don't have private insurance, they want you to be able to show that you have the ability to pay. So that is what the I-944 is, and that is what the public charge rule that was introduced in February of 2020 was. Obviously with the pandemic, it's just in the recent months, last 2 or 3 months, that we're seeing interviews related to those applications post public charge. So, we're still hoping that with most of these interviews, that by the time they come around, that the public charge rule will be off the table. This has been highly contested. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off, just because it creates such a barrier for so many people. So that's what that is. And then Sunny asks, Sunny says, you're exceptional in deciphering the law and making it simple for us to understand. More blessings, Ma. Oh, thank you so much. I mean, that's my job. I love to do it. I'm privileged to do it. Like when I decided to be an advocate for the people, I wanted to be able to be a voice for people who don't have a voice. And there's no point of me, sharing legalese that you guys don't understand. I need to be able to explain it in simple terms so you understand. And somebody asked, are there opportunities for students to adjust their status without many hurdles? We don't know. Right now, it's not one of the things that I've seen listed, but we don't know. I believe that the path for students has always been, you do an F1 and then you go through OPT, occupational training, and then try to match with a program for an H-1B. So I think that has been working well, and that has been around, for a while. So I don't necessarily think that that's going to change. Obviously, those people who choose STEM major, so if you're a student and you choose a science, technology, engineering, or math major, then you have a better chance of a path to a green card and eventual citizenship, just because there's no cap with those, and you have 3 opportunities to try to get into an occupational training program. And if you have 3 opportunities, then you also have 3 opportunities to put your name in there for the H-1B to get approved. So that's really the path for F1 students right now. And I don't foresee it changing, but I'm not clairvoyant. We don't know what's going to happen. So we'll see. Kofi says, God bless you so much. Watching you every Wednesday gives me hope. Thank you so much. You guys are so nice to me today. So guys, comment in here. Tell me, what are you doing today? Who's dressed up to the nines for the inauguration? Who's wearing pearls? Once I get off live on Facebook, post in the comments your picture of your pearls or whatever you're wearing today. I would love to see it. Let me see if I have any other questions before I jump off. It says, what about people who married? They will be included in the 8 years citizens still awaiting. That's Favorite Blessed on Instagram is asking that question. I'm thinking what you're asking me is, that does this 8-year path include people that are married? Is that what you're asking me? If that's what you're asking me, we will find out very soon. So what I have is just a broad, this is the legislation, this is what's being introduced. I don't know what is going to finally pass. So once we know what is passed, I will let you know. But I imagine that, whether you're married or not, as long as your spouse has been here as of January 1st, 2021, you should probably be included in the count. Again, the reason why, like I mentioned earlier, The reason why they're given the January 1st, 2021 date is so that because, there are people that are going to rush to the border and try to come in based on this new introduction. And so they want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So, only if you've already been here. So somebody's asking me on Facebook, good morning. How long do you have to wait to get your green card? I got my work permit and Social Security. How long after that? So, Sandra, your question is a really broad one. The answer is that it really depends. It depends on your service, where your field office is, what state it's in, what their own backlog is. It depends on when they schedule you for an interview. USCIS informed us, last week that there's an unprecedented delay in processing just because of what happened last year with COVID and them being closed and them canceling interviews. Same thing with biometrics. They're behind 1.3 million biometrics. So that just puts it in perspective. So, try to be patient. This is one of the times where I counsel clients and say, no news is good news, so at least you have your work permit, so that's a privilege. So at least you can work and you don't have a denial, you can, I don't know if you have your travel authorization, if you needed to travel, you could. So just hold on to that and hopefully, things will move quicker and you hopefully get approved. Okay. Kofi asks, is it possible to speak to me personally? Yes, in order to speak to me, you have to call our number, which is right there on the bottom. It's 407-995-6567. You're more than welcome to schedule a consultation to speak with me. TT says, thank you so much for coming to talk to us every Wednesday. May God continue to bless you. Thank you. And I hope God blesses everyone on this portal as well. Nadine said, yes, call the number. They will schedule you for an appointment to talk with her. Exactly, Nadine. Do you guys have any other questions before I jump off? Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody else's. Somebody posted a link here, but I can't read the link. Peter, I see the link you posted here, but I'm on live right now, so I can't address it because I can't read the link. I don't, address things that I haven't read or know what it is that you're referring to. So I'll read it later. Maybe I'll comment later on for you. So let's see. Let me just make sure. Somebody asked if your mother filed for you and you're single over 21, and then while waiting for your I-130 to be approved, would it be possible to marry a U.S. citizen? Yeah, you can marry a U.S. citizen if you want. So if you're over the age of 21 and you're no longer in an immediate category. So normally what that means is that you cannot adjust your status in the United States in the traditional sense through your mother because you're not considered an immediate relative anymore. You have to wait. You have to request a waiver of forgiveness for your overstay. And then once you're forgiven, then you go back to your home country to do the consulate processing and then get your, visa and green card. However, if you are in the United States and your parent already filed an I-130 for you and you're waiting for a decision on that, you can, and you marry a U.S. citizen, it will not affect that process because that will continue, but you can go ahead and process with your spouse, because if you process with your U.S. citizen spouse, then you'll be able to stay here without having to go back to your home country, and then it would also be a quicker time. Probably by the time, you're eligible with your mom, you probably will even be eligible to be, a citizen. And then Philip asked, how can I go about applying for a work visa or a work permit? You can, so Philip, yours is one that we have to determine what you qualify for. So in order to gain a work permit, something has to entitle you to the work permit. So right now, I don't know what's entitling you to the work permit. I'm happy to consult with you to see if you have anything that could entitle you to a work permit. Again, my number is 407-995-6567. So, save the number and, you can definitely, let me know. Okay, so, all right, guys, I'm just going to take a few more questions and I will jump off. So I put in my paperwork over 3 months and no message for biometrics. 3 months is not a long time, Austin. It's not in the world of pandemic. There are two things that could happen. They could either bypass your biometrics or they will schedule you. But again, I mentioned just about 5 minutes ago, they are behind on biometrics by 1.3 million. Applications. So it's okay. You will still get your turn. Okay. Carrie says, does 8 years mean as long as we are here before 2021, we will be qualified for a green card? Well, the answer is no, 8 years is the path, meaning that they will give you a temporary status for 5 years. And then after those 5 years, you're then eligible for a green card. And then after those, you get the green card. After 3 years, you're eligible for citizenship. That's what 8 years is referring to. Now, the details or the intimate details of who's going to qualify, or, with every law, there's going to be nuances or little things. We don't know that yet. We're going to find out very soon when it's sent to for legislation. But again, remember, it has to pass. And once the bill passes, then I can come to you guys and tell you what exactly it takes. Okay. Somebody asked, Gail asked that, can someone get a prima facie determination letter without a biometrics? Yes, you can. My son in Jamaica is filing for, my son is in Jamaica. My husband is filing for my son. My husband is a US citizen. I got the receipt back. How long from now? So it just depends. Again, this is one of the things where it depends on your service center, who's processing it, right? You have to, USCIS has a function where you can check processing time based on your center that's processing it, which is usually on the bottom left of your receipt. So you can check that to see what the average is. But, I can tell you it ranges anywhere from 7 months to 24 months, depending on which one of the centers is doing it. And then once they approve you, then you have to then go through the consulate process in Jamaica. Right now, a lot of the the US consulates outside of America have been closed because of COVID, or at least not seeing people. So, some of them are slowly trickling in and starting to see people. So hopefully it moves things a bit faster. Somebody asked, how long does a 290B take? So a 290B, basically, for those who don't know, a 290B is basically an appeal. Basically, if your case was denied and you're appealing it, it could take. This is another thing where, it's really difficult for us as attorneys to give you a timeline because there is no timeline. There are averages, but so much has changed in the last year that any timeline that we give is inaccurate just because of all the delays. So it could take a year, it could take a year and a half. So we don't know, we just basically all wait, for them to make a decision. Okay, guys, it's been nice chatting with you guys. I have to jump off to my next meeting, but happy Inauguration Day, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys again next week, Wednesday. Have a great one. Bye.